Hey, welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. I'm Nerdarchy's Ted, and today I'm joined by
Nerdarchy's Dave.
In this GM 911, the D&D players done goofed. Now what? Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with us.
So as always, the GM 911s will be in the description below. You can read it for yourself. If you got your own, you can send it to nerdarchy@gmail.com. Subject line, GM 911.
So we got this one from Jordan, and his players wound up going into an area unprepared, and they kind of got axed.
They essentially got TPK'd, except for there was mitigating factors that kept them from staying dead for the most part, and some of them just kind of like gave up and surrendered.
You know, they kind of complained, as you'll see, if you read the whole thing below. They didn't like the fact that the monster was actually using the weapon that they were after. They thought it was too strong. But short of casting legend lore, they didn't do any research on the area that they were going into. They didn't rest enough, and they got crushed. So does he shut all of this down, start a whole new campaign? Does he try to, oh, it was just a dream, let's, take it back and start over again? Does he keep these characters dead, move the storyline forward X number of years, and start all new characters? Or does he keep these characters alive in the maze, trapped beneath this kingdom, and try to work it out from there?
All right, a couple things. One, he said he's running a sandbox style game, and my impression was the players went to this encounter or this section of the world before they were ready. It was out of their league. They were missing a player, so the DM actually scaled it back a little bit. Even so, it was still too tough. I would start off with a conversation with my players and be like, look, here's what I was thinking. This is why it was this way. You guys weren't ready for it. You're not ready for everything. This is a living, breathing world. Sometimes the encounters you will come up against and challenges you will face, you aren't going to beat. Some things are just tougher than you. That's life for you. That's how the world works, right? And we're playing a fantasy game. We're telling a cooperative story, but sometimes that's how it is, and you guys might have to negotiate. You might have to retreat. You may have to come back at another time. The only thing I would say that maybe this GM didn't do from the beginning, and I don't actually know, is maybe he didn't convey this to the players. Like, if you're playing that kind of game, you should tell them. Like, they should know. I know I've made this mistake. I've made it more recently. I've put things in that I thought were obvious that the players could not defeat and should not fight. And my players were going out of their way trying to figure out how to take it out. They were like 5th or 6th level, and there was a freaking Imperium cyborg on a flying pyramid, right, that just blew off the top of a mountain. And they're like, how can I get up there and fight this guy? I'm like, that's what you want to do. That's what we want to do.
That was a little ways ago.
We've all been gaming for a long time.
It's true. I mean, I'm not saying, I was right, or I don't know who it was that really was selling the fervor of it.
The Gobelos and Torg were definitely trying to get up there. Pretty sure Ryan is like, he's narrating. I don't think we're supposed to fight that. And I think Ted was just looking at her like, what are they doing? So, and that kind of speaks to what I'm talking about, because Ted and Ryan are familiar with my GMing style and have played in games with me, and we were familiar with each other, where the other players were all brand new to each other, relatively. And, maybe the games they play in, you will only ever face monsters that you're ready and equipped to overcome.
So if you've got that living, breathing world idea and your players are aware of it, sometimes crap is going to happen. How does Jordan move forward? Have this conversation. You have the players figure out, well, what are they going to find the most enjoyable? Sometimes players would rather say, well, my character is dead, than to be like, well, I'm going to have to work my way out of this horrible situation
and pick up the pieces
because I've died, and pick up the pieces. So those are important decisions that have to be made, and they're going to be made at the face-to-face personal level, not let's sit around the same gaming table with our character sheets in front of us and decide with everything rolling.
Now, they're perfectly equipped to continue the game from where they are. It's just that the nature of the game has changed. The nature of the adventure has changed. Like, what are they going to have to do to get away from this Minotaur Lord? How are they going to appease him? Is there a way, to bribe him? Can they work for him? something like, so like maybe it's changed, like now you're all prisoners, now you have to escape the dungeon and escape the labyrinth, and no, you should not try and kill him and take his axe because you already tried that and it didn't work. You should probably try something different.
This is a place where you can use this as a learning moment as a GM, as a player, and grow from this point. But some people might not want that. They might want the, you know what if we just take it, X number of years in the future, deal with the changes that have happened because this failed. You have this legacy event because of the choices that were made, and now they get to make new characters, possibly, but they're going to be forewarned to the dangers, so they can make choices specific to what the actual problem is. And perhaps they've grown up under this hardship, and that's why they're so hard focused on this issue.
Yeah, so right, you have a fork right here, right? And it's like, talk to the players. They want to play these characters. They're so mad they're done with these characters, right? From there, you can decide. If they're done with these characters, you could do almost anything. New campaign, legacy event, flash forward, play a completely different game, play Monopoly, I don't know. Continue with this game. All right, well, how do we proceed from here? This is a learning moment. And instead of being angry at your GM and bitching at them and being bitter at them, why don't you be angry at the guy that did it in the game and use it for something that to inspire characters. They have this common foe now. They really hate this Minotaur, whatever. One of them has like a huff scar on their chest from where they got stomped so hard. You can roll with it from there. It doesn't have to be the end of the game. And I find these moments are memorable, in my own game when you guys encountered like these dragonborn terrorists or Nazis, if you will, that were anti anything that wasn't dragonborn. Like, it became this huge moment for two of the characters. Are like, oh, General Raz of Goldeneye was like this esteemed figure, but now he's, Raz of Goldeneye the traitor, So, I mean, he didn't stomp the characters and beat them, but he fought them and got away. And so, like, then the players had this mission, or at least two of them, like, it was personal for them. They felt like this character dishonored, the Dragonborn Empire and what they stood for. So why not try and, like, have moments like that when you have something that bad happens in the game, use it to inspire role-playing and develop your characters.
You have a crux moment where these characters have the ability to really make a decision, and the players have the ability to make a decision. And I remember fondly some of the crap that's happened, some of the bad stuff that's happened in RPGs, probably more so than I remember the good stuff. And, like, I can recall, like, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and we went up against something that we shouldn't have, despite numerous warnings, and the party got killed, and it's amusing. And I've got somewhere in one of my various notebooks, I still have that character sheet with deceased written all over it because he was foolish.
Yeah, the bard wanders off into a choker, or the Minotaur gets skewered, the Minotaur gets skewered by a goblin, riding a warg. Like, things like that stuff kind of like live on in your games, and you have to embrace, like, the different aspects of the game. It's almost like being a good sportsman when it comes to playing a game. And except that sometimes if you die, you kind of technically lost D&D. It happens. You get to keep playing and do something else now.
But you also have to look at it that a lot of DMs, like, they are doing a cooperative story. They're trying to entertain you just as much as you are trying to play this game. I don't know of a single DM that I've played any kind of long-winded with that, well, my goal is I want to kill you. Because we've talked about this before. There's plenty of monsters in the monster manual. I want you dead. I'm going to make sure you're dead. Oh, look, this monster crits on a 15+. Woo! I'm the DM. I can do whatever I want. So there's no need for me to go to that kind of lengths. I'm there to have fun. I'm there for entertainment. And if I've put work into a story, I don't want to see it destroyed because of some bad rolls or some bad decisions, whether it be your decision or mine.
Yeah, in theory, like the idea is that the story just goes in a different direction. It doesn't get broken, destroyed, or ruined. It just changes directions, and now you go in this new direction, and new developments happen. So the question is, what is your advice for this GM? We have a place where you put it down in the comments below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over on Facebook.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.